Welcome back, my friends, to a special episode of TFT Hyperroll. Why is it special? I'll get to that in a moment. Until then, please like, comment, subscribe, do stuff to help the YouTube algorithm. It's called Mission for Tuition because we're trying to raise money for our son's high school tuition, and every view counts. So this is special because it's kind of going to answer a question I get asked every now and then, which is where I come up with my builds. And the reality is most of them I develop by kind of trying things out with synergies and whatnot, but sometimes I come up with it by seeing what beats me. So let me take you to the ending of a previous game. I was playing my favorite build with my 3-star Volibear, 3-star Anivia, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to win. And by the way, Riot is buffing this build as of Wednesday. But either way, I thought I was going to win. I was chatting with the other player. We were like GG other way, and they ended up winning. So of course, I had to study their build. Well, they were running a Cavalier Swiftshot build, so I decided for my next game, I was going to try this out. Now, the usual warnings apply. This is augment, champion, item dependent. I'm not just going to go blindly into it, but I did manage to get a 2-star Ezreal before we even got started, and it gave me a Varus, so I was feeling pretty good about the whole thing and the chance of it. Best Friends could have been interesting for a Swiftshot build, but I just decided to go with a little bit of random chance and got that instead. But since Ezreal casts really often, I decided to go with Luden's Echo, and then just start picking up my Cavaliers and Swiftshots and see if everything will fill in for me. My real overall plan at this moment is just Cavaliers and Swiftshots. I'm going to want to get something like a blue buff and probably Rage Blade onto Ezreal so he's casting more often and attacking faster so we can get more damage out there, especially with the Luden's Echo augment, but it's not ready yet. Regular viewers will know exactly what item I'm going to pick. I have a Chain Vest on the bench, there's a Giant's Belt, so that's going onto my front line immediately. When I get a Sunfire Cape, I always grab it and put it out front. I'm also picking up a lot of Ezreals, so I'm starting to wonder if there's a possibility of it going to gold. I can tell you for sure my goal here was not to test whether Ezreal was a carry. I haven't found him particularly strong, but if they're going to give me a gold, I'm not going to argue. At the moment, Gary is being unreasonably stingy with the Cavaliers, so I do not have a strong front line. I decided to pick up Kiana just so I could have the Tempest and maybe at least slow opposing teams down for a moment. But when you have a Tahm Kench with a Warmogs, that's really not going to matter because he's going to be able to get through and pretty much wreck an Ezreal that's trying to kill him. With so many Ezreals, I decide here to just make the commitment, grab the Tear of the Goddess, and go ahead and make the blue buff on Ezreal. Twitch is going to be a Swiftshot and a guild champion, so that will help. I decide to just go with Lee Sin. I could have grabbed Lilia to make a second Cavalier, but with Sejuani at 1 star right now, I didn't feel it was enough to warrant it, and I'd rather have the stun and see what the blue buff can do. I've also switched Varus over for Twitch, and even though Varus is a higher cost unit and usually more powerful, Twitch adds Guild, which is going to give everyone 10% attack speed, and since we now have 2 guilds with Sejuani and Twitch, it's going to increase it a little bit more. So my champions are attacking a little bit faster, which with the Luden's Echo and the blue buff and everything that's going on, they are somehow able to win this fight. It's time for our second set of augments, and as an apology, Gary says, okay, here's the Cavalier heart. See what you're trying to do, so you can go ahead and do it. I also end up getting a Nunu along with that, so I can get rid of Lee Sin, and this will bring me to 4 Cavalier, which is going to make for a really strong front line. As you can see, the concept of this build is fairly simple and kind of classic TFT to me. Really tanky frontline, really high damage backline, and they work together to get the job done. No fancy tricks, no craziness, just tank the front line, and lots of power coming from the back. Now, I was very torn about this because I don't find Ezreal a super strong carry, but if you're gonna give me a gold, I'll give it a shot. With the gold Ezreal and now the chance to combine the bow with the needlessly large rod, we can make a Rage Blade on Ezreal, which will mean those casts are going to come a lot faster. I don't know if he's going to be able to carry the match, but he's definitely going to be able to hold us up for now. Now, I got really lucky here to pull an early Xayah. She is the strongest Swiftshot in the game, so I pull Varus for her and then start stacking her up with crit items so she can do more damage. Now, the way Swiftshot works, they get increased attack speed depending on their distance from the champions they're attacking. That's why I have them on opposite ends of the board, so that I'm always going to be able to get maximum speed at least from one side or the other. And at this point, this build is faring much better than I expected it to. It felt a little too simple to me. I thought maybe the person I was playing against got really lucky, and maybe I got really lucky too, but it seems to be working well. Again, the augments are super friendly. Guild Crest is going to be perfect because that's going to give everyone a little bit of Omnivamp, especially the person you put it on. I can bring Varus out, so now I have my 4th Swiftshot. I decide to go ahead, and since Ezreal is our gold, he gets the guild emblem, so he'll be getting the additional Omnivamp. And again, my experience so far this season, it's still early, but has been that Ezreal was a little underwhelming, but he's performing really, really well here. It's probably because he's up at gold, and I've also stacked some critical items on him along with the Luden's Echo, but he is carrying the team. It's now Treasure Dragon time. This is my first offering, and I look at it and I kind of go, I think this is good enough for what I need. It'll give me a good tank item and the ability to speed up my additional Swiftshots along with the Zeke's Herald. So I go ahead and bring Varus over, give him the Zeke's Herald so that he's speeding up Ezreal and Xayah. Then the Dragon's Claw is going to go on to Nunu, since he is our strongest tank Cavalier at this point, and then a Gargoyle Stoneplate to top it off. We're still looking for Hecarim to serve as our 5th Cavalier, and then whatever guild champions we can get to help fill in. With the 4 Swiftshot and 4 Cavaliers, really strong front line, and really fast attacking back line. I didn't intend on Ezreal attempting to be the carry here, and didn't think it would last this late into the game, but as you can see, he's leading the damage charts. I've gotten Hecarim into the game, so he is now our 5th Cavalier, and we have Bard waiting on the bench. I decide to go ahead and grab a 2nd Zeke's Herald to just stack onto Varus so that he can speed up Xayah, who is now a 2-star, and Ezreal, who's still sitting at gold. Put the Trap Claw onto Sejuani so that she is protecting both Nunu and Lilia. However, once we can get that silver Hecarim, we can move him over, and because it's better to have him protected than Lilia, and now we have a really, really good front line. You can see how well they're going to hold everything back, and the attacks coming from that bottom left corner are super fast thanks to the 2 Zeke's Heralds that are on Varus. Xayah does a ton of damage when she rakes her feathers and is finally taking over the damage charts. This fight, I thought I was in real trouble. They were aimed right at my corner that is going to be doing most of the damage, and they wiped out a large percentage of my team. But you can see that when Xayah pulls back her feathers, she's able to completely wipe out a team. And with that victory, we are into the top 4. We bring in Bard to further enhance the guild aspect of our team, and I'm glad to see a Warmogs on that NPC because that will strengthen our front line. For our final item and a why the heck not, I pick up the 3rd Zeke's Herald and put it on Varus. So now we're getting triple Zeke's Herald action across Xayah and our gold Ezreal, who has been holding up really, really well. So our first battle is against a team with a 2-star Aurelion Soul, but I cannot figure out why a Banshee's Claw and Frozen Heart are on them. They probably would have been better off to give up one of their 3 stars and get all the AP items onto Aurelion Sol, because you can see that even when he does his ult, it's only taking a tiny percentage of health off of Varus, and then again off of Bard, where he can usually wipe out entire teams. Next up is a Jade team that I'm actually really concerned about. They have a lot of really tanky champions up in front. Jade is going to give them healing and a lot of health regeneration on top of attack speed. So I'm afraid they're going to be able to get through my front line into my back line and do a lot of damage, which is exactly what they do. With Anivia on their team, even though Bard is able to ult her, she does end up taking us out. Now you might notice at the bottom I've been swapping Bard and Ezreal back and forth as to who's going to get that triple Zeke's Herald buff. I wanted it on Bard for a while so that he could cast more often, but I feel it's a little more effective on Ezreal, especially since I'm also running Luden's Echo. Against this particular team, I'm not too worried, because that Aurelion Sol is not doing the damage of which it is capable, so we're able to beat them pretty easily. And I'm not surprised to see it come down between us and the Jade team. I move everyone over to the right because I've noticed that the Jade team is stacked left. I bring my Cavaliers over to the left, keep Bard on the left so that he's going to be encircling the large part of the team that's in front of him. And then Xayah and Ezreal can do a ton of damage from the side. Again, when she rakes her feathers back, you will see a lot of things drop at once. We need to keep that front line occupied and hopefully get through it. Bard being able to freeze them in place, and again, as I've mentioned in previous videos, when he does that, they take increased damage while they're in stasis. So when Bard does that, they're going to take increased damage while they're there, making it easier for us to win. I kept my eye on them in between rounds, and they didn't make many major changes, so I was able to keep my same general configuration. We're getting a little bit of Omnivamp because of the guild emblem, but Xayah is doing just a ton of damage. I'm a little concerned when their Gnar is able to get into the back line, but we're able to hold them back. Our front line is really strong. Anivia ults in front of her, and it allows us to finish them off and win the game. Is this a new build that'll keep working? I don't know. I just tried it the other day and decided to do a video on it so y'all could see it. Hope you enjoyed the video, give it a shot, and have an absolutely awesome day.